This is Jerry Welch. I'd like to welcome you to my new show, Going Beyond Word by Word. The aim of this program is to raise awareness about social issues and to go beyond with analysis and commentary from a unique perspective. This week's show will be a little different. Before we can delve into current events, I feel it is necessary to explain what I call corporocracy as a social theory. And to do that, I've got to tell you a bit about myself. That's the sound that I experienced several years ago when I was put in jail and my civil liberties were taken away by a small-town judge who was empowered to do so, not because a criminal act was committed, but because I challenged his authority. This experience inspired me to begin researching and writing about the corporocracy in which we live, and ultimately resulted in the publishing of my two books titled Welcome to Reality and the second book, Corporocracy, which is the overall social theory which has now become a social force. Corporocracy goes back to almost to the beginning of time. Simply put, it's the empowered few controlling all the rest of us, empowered by money or government, but nevertheless controlling all the rest of us. Another word that comes to mind is oligarchy. Government in which supreme power is placed in the hands of a small, exclusive class or group of people. Again, the purpose of this show is to bring about awareness that is pervasive in the way of everyday life, of things that are happening. Or to be more direct, the things that are happening under corporate structure that controls our monetary system, our transportation, our media, just about everything that controls our lives. So how has corporocracy manifested itself? How does it affect you and me? Basically, we become dependent on it. We become dependent on people leading us by the hand and directing us what to do. Let's take current events, things that are happening right now. We have an election coming up. We have had drought throughout the country. That relates to global warming. We're still fighting wars as we've always been fighting wars. Terrorism, the monetary system. It is my intention through this show to try and get everybody thinking how this all relates to corporocracy or the corporate structure. Our corporations have developed an American way of life that has us hooked on things of pleasure and convenience, while at the same time leaving us powerless to pay the price. For example, we have cars, transportation, technology developed that, but all of a sudden the price of fuel to run those cars jumps tremendously. And yet they take away the jobs that give us the means to pay for the price of fuel. That can relate to food or just about everything else. Going back to dependency, it's gotten more to the point of entitlement. We think we're entitled to all of the convenience and the pleasure. Are we? What has happened to the American way of life that the politicians so often refer to? Is it a dream, a hoax? What are we going to make of it? When the price of fuel goes up, where do the profits go? Do the profits go back to you or me? Or to the pockets of the corporate executives who are then empowered to influence our vote with their money, influence our legislators with their money? The legislatures who turn around and are obligated to create new legislation to put more money or favors towards the corporations and allow them to garner more profits from the citizens. Wow, it's a vicious circle. I hope you can see this out there, people. Whoever is listening to this, you're creating energy. Yet the corporations are taking that energy and steering it to their own endeavors, their own way of controlling us. We aren't even allowed, in a sense, to create alternative energy. The corporations are taking that energy depleting our resources and using that energy to actually create waste in the environment. We all are aware of oil spills, which is the prime example. But we need to wake up to inform ourselves, to regroup and steer our energy as individuals in a way that benefits mankind. There are two things we all need, not only to live, but to exist. They are air to breathe, water for nourishment. Are we going to let the corporations pollute our air and water? I mean, we have to have them. Where are we going with life? Is it all coming to a head in this day and age? It's time to think about all of the exhilarating events that are affecting our lives. And most importantly, the role that corporatocracy or corporate structure is playing in those events. And then let's pause for a moment and consider the consequences and how alternatives would factor in. My production manager wanted me to opinionate on the election and what is going on with politics. But that is not what this show is about. We are all deadlocked in polarization. The Democratic Party and Republican Party are pure and simply corporations duking it out. And in their greedy short-sightedness, they have forgotten the very people of which they are a part. I have just touched a small, eeny-weeny bit of what my second book, Corporocracy, is about. I hope it has garnered some interest. It is available via Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and it's also available in their Kindle section. Again, I hope to entice you to visit those sites and take a look at my writing.